non-human biologics.
Non-human, and that was the assessment.
Oh, America. It is really going bad for you guys, isn't it? We know when you break out the alien stuff that you are just in way over your head. It reminds me of like when my son has done something that he really, really shouldn't have done. And so he creates some story to detract us from what he's actually done. The most famous in our house of which was when he ate an entire chorizo sausage that we'd bought to put in a meal, obviously, and then denied it to within an inch of his life, denied eating this chorizo sausage, and then came up with this wild story about how he'd seen the dog eating something in the garden, and that, you know, maybe we should get her checked because they've got like little bits of string and metal at the end. Like the whole, like, would have had us take the dog to the vet. And then I opened the recycling bin, and bless him, he'd recycled the plastic from the outside of the chorizo that he'd eaten. And I was like, dude, if you're going to tell a lie, you've got to cover your bases, you know. Don't recycle the packaging of the thing that you've nicked from the fridge and eaten. And if you are going to recycle it, at least shove it down a little bit, you know. Anyway, America, why are you falling for this? There was a report yesterday that American debt is through the roof. And I'm not talking about the debt that America owes to China or the debt that you're creating by printing money. I'm talking about the average American being unable to afford life and living in debt. This is happening all over Europe, but in America it is wildly out of control. And then in the next breath, you have your Fed saying that they are hiking interest rates, which means all of the money that you've borrowed to live is going to cost you even more to pay back, and even more to pay back, and even more to pay back. And then you have Joe Biden talking about giving 500 million more to Ukraine because he can't think of what else to do, because Ukraine has got serious dirt on him. So much dirt that when the prosecutor general of Ukraine tried to dig it up and tell people, Hunter and Joe Biden got together and went and paid off the Ukrainian government with IMF money in order for that guy to get fired. Wow. Heavy, and significantly affecting you and your lives, you know? And this is only going to get worse, because while you guys are talking about finding aliens and, you know, spacecrafts that have dropped out of the sky, but only in America, no one else sees any of these things. Apparently they only come here to Wiltshire, where we have crop circles everywhere that are clearly made by some local. But anyway, crop circles in Europe, here in Wiltshire, and alien craft in America. That's the only places that they come. While you guys are talking about that, the rest of the world is laughing at you, and then having economic forums in St. Petersburg, is having coups in Niger so that they can overthrow pro-Western governments. They are having meetings working out how they're going to get around your sanctions, your attacks. There are Americans being told that they have to leave Guinea in 72 hours. And now we know why. Because America has started making incredibly wild, bullish claims to countries that have said that they're going to join BRICS. This is what's really going on in the world, and they don't want you to hear about it. So instead of talking about it, they're creating these wild and wild. And in a way, I'm like, carry on, because it's like watching a soap opera, you know? Watching, you know, that Jean-Pierre woman, and watching Joe Biden fall over, and all this stuff that America comes out with is like geopolitical soap opera, you know? It's fascinating to me. But what's even more fascinating is that people are just accepting it, you know? It is time to have a look at what's really, really going on in your society and what this is costing you and your family. Because fundamentally, it's not about us, you know? My life is not better because the EU has sanctioned us after Brexit. My life is not better. Does that make me wish that I'd had chosen to stay in the EU? Absolutely not. Because when all's said and done and all's done and dusted, and the absolute stain that is the EU finally breaks down, that's going to be better for my children. Okay? That's what it's about. It's about my children. And if I have to suffer and struggle and figure out how I feed them fresh fruit and vegetables and figure out how we get by on less and less so that they don't have to do the same with their kids, I would take the last 14 years of motherhood all over again. I really, really would. Because I have watched a drastic drop in the living standards of me and my peers. That's what's been going on. But if that means that my 3 children have it easier, that's fine. America, what world are you leaving behind for your kids? Where is this going? If you can't have these conversations and you go straight to aliens and UFOs and all this mad stuff, where is this going? What is it going to lead to? And how are you going to stop that? Because that's the most important thing now. Africa, Russia, China, India, they're all thinking about the next generations. And they are making positive changes so that the next generations have better lives. We're not doing that. That is the problem here. That is the questions we all need to be asking. And, maybe bring back the X-Files. David Duchovny's probably still hot. I mean, he was really hot, wasn't he? How many years ago that went on? 20 years ago. He's probably still hot. Get him back to give you this sort of entertainment. But get on board with what's really going on in the world, because it's going to change with or without you, whether you like it or not.